The NBA is going through a phase where the talent is just pouring in. It's exciting, it's thrilling, it's hypnotic. The speedy offense is adding fuel to the fire, but like everything else in life, there's a catch. It's a double-edged sword. These games are a blast to watch, and we all love them, but here's the thing. It's producing empty stats from players who are as good as a flat tire on a road trip. We're not gonna bore you with the same old topic about the greatest players in the league, blah blah blah. We're here to spill the tea on the overrated bunch of NBA players who are milking the system for all it's worth. So, how can we spot if a player is overrated? Well, all the signs are pretty straightforward. Is their income so high that it defies calculation? Check. Are they attracting more attention than the popular kid at school? Check, check. But have they actually done anything worth remembering? Nope, nada, zilch. These guys are bad jokes that just won't go away. They're just, come on. Let's just start the roasting of the most overrated NBA players right now. First up, we have Bradley Beal. This dude is about to swim in a pool of money, as in $200 million more after this season. Yet, the Washington Wizards seem to be stuck in basketball purgatory. They didn't make it to the playoffs and can't seem to get themselves out of this jam, and here's the breakdown for you. With Bradley Beal as your best player, you might prepare your things and leave. The dude's defense is as good as a sieve, and he must hide on the side of the ball. Sure, Beal can score, can't argue with that, but hey, he's not going to make anyone else on his team better. And to add alcohol to the wound, he will be raking in about $50 million a year. And come on, man. We're just getting started, so stay tuned. Kristaps Porzingis is also on the payroll next season, and yes, you are right. He's been more of a liability than an asset. And if they re-sign Kyle Kuzma to a massive deal, dude, the Wizards are going to be in some serious trouble. Zach LaVine. LaVine is smoother than butter on a hot biscuit, but don't let those dunks fool ya. He's not as good as some folks may think unless he can dunk from the three-point line. In our peripheral vision, it looks like he can score and pass, but there is more to the numbers than meets the eye. LaVine is not known for his defense. Here's the catch. He's so bad that he's never recorded a positive plus-minus in any of his first 8 seasons. But this year, he's finally in the positive when playing with Alex Caruso. Let's be honest. Bald Mamba is a human shield when it comes to defense on the perimeter. Now, some may say that plus-minus is just a team stat, blah blah blah, but it's not entirely meaningless. Yes, Zach LaVine is still NBA material, and let's face it, finding a 20-plus point-per-game scorer isn't as easy as finding a unicorn in Times Square. The real issue is that he's getting paid like he's the best shooting guard in the league, when in reality, he would probably make a better microwave scorer off the bench or a third option on a championship team. The Stifle Tower Rudy Gobert. Again, don't get it wrong, folks. The advanced statistics might say otherwise, but Gobert is as overrated as a referee's whistle. Remember when the Wolves traded for him and everyone thought they'd be contenders? Yeah, about as likely as Shaq hitting a free throw. Minnesota is currently 27th in rebounding percentage. And while Rudy is supposed to be the rebound king, he's been more like a prince. He's also only average in opponents' points in the paint. And his defensive rating this season is 109.3, which is good, but, not that great. About his offense. If Rudy's offensive game were a jump shot, it would be the worst brick you've ever seen. Watching him try to score is like watching a giraffe trying to do the ballet. He's 7'1" and has the moves of a traffic cone. The only way he gets points is by catching lobs or cleaning up somebody else's mess. And you won't believe this. Rudy Gobert is making nearly $40 million per season, and all he can do is defense. I mean, it's not entirely his fault, but if the NBA had a clown car, Rudy would be the driver. Next, we've got LaVine's teammate, Nikola Vucevic. This guy is the offensive equivalent of Gobert, paid big bucks but couldn't stop a nosebleed. His offensive production is mesmerizing, yet doesn't do much. Vucevic is not terrible, but for $28 million a year, you'd expect him to at least play some defense.
Here I come.
Without someone to cover his behind, the Bulls will keep getting gored with Vooch as their center. And speaking of big money for little impact, let's talk about Tobias Harris. This guy couldn't cut it as a third wheel before, and he's not doing any better with the Nets now. Yet the Sixers still gave him a whopping $180 million guaranteed since 2019-20, which comes out to a cool $36 million a year. If you need a visual for highway robbery, just picture Tobias with his Sixers contract, because Harris has a knack for disappearing in big games. He's a magician pulling a vanishing act, except it's not entertaining at all. In fact, it's so frustrating that a Sixers fan once put up a missing persons flyer after a playoff loss. Talk about taking a shot at your own player. But hey, the fans know what's up, right? So fasten your seatbelts as we leave Philly and take flight to the land of the Atlanta Hawks. We're not trying to slam the Hawks here, but let's call a spade a spade. They are filled with overpaid one-trick ponies in almost every position. It's like a circus out there. As an example, let's look at John Collins. Collins is a good player, no doubt about it. But for $25 million a year? Come on, man! Would you really pay that much for a guy who can't create his own shot and whose offense has been dropping since the days when he averaged 21.6 points per game 3 years ago? Hope you are in the right mindset. And Clint Capella. This guy is getting paid a whopping $18 million this year. And you won't believe this. For the next 2 years, his average salary is $21.5 million. For what? What? For just catching lobs on offense? Sure, he's a rebounding and defense machine, but his on-ball assignments are like a game of hide and seek. You just can't seem to find him. But as limited as those two are, they can't hold a candle to their teammate Trae Young when it comes to being overrated. Seriously, where do we begin with this guy? Young is being young and making $38 million this year alone and over $40 million in each of the next 4 seasons. Now, some of you might argue about his 27 points and 10 assists per game justify the paycheck. But remember, basketball isn't all about stats. Heck, they don't even tell the half of it. Young is a traffic cone on defense, and even his supposed playmaking and shooting skills don't fully justify that astronomical salary. Young's assist-to-turnover ratio is 2.5 to 1. And for simplicity's sake, that's for every 2.5 dimes he delivers, he hands over the possession to the other team like it's a hot potato. Of the players in the top 10 in total assists this season, only 3 are out of the top 30. And guess what? Trae Young is one of those 3, sitting comfortably at the 48th spot. Now, let's talk about Young's shooting skills. Young acts like he's in Steph Curry's stratosphere when it comes to shooting. But truth be told, he's more in the Rhode Island Red range. Young attempts 6.6 shots behind the arc per game and makes only 33% of them, ranking him 124th in the league in three-point percentage. Look, we're not saying that Trae Young can't improve his game. That's a no-no, because it's not too late for him to polish his skills and at least be an average defender who's taking smarter shots. This is Heroes of the Courtside, your stop for the NBA's most obscure yet fascinating stories. Thank you for watching.